Hello everyone, my name is Courtney. I am 41 years old and I have ME/CFS. I also have inflammatory bowel disease. That's a recent diagnosis. I also have fibromyalgia, and I was diagnosed with Lyme disease in 2018. And I think that's the culprit that torpedoed my ship. But I'm mainly going to be focusing on ME/CFS on this channel because it has by far been the most devastating, the most cruel, the most wicked, the trickiest, and the most ironic thing that I'm dealing with by far. I have been doing the carnivore diet. Today is day 61. And I want to just talk about that journey and see where this thing goes. So far, it has been the only thing to significantly move the needle in any real positive direction. I've done other things that have improved quality of life a little bit. I've done things that have kept symptoms at bay, things that have made me more comfortable. But this is the only thing that is actually giving me what seems to be a longer leash. And like I said, I'm only 61 days in. So for the first time in years, I am cautiously optimistic that there may be light at the end of this tunnel. Now, I don't know how much healing is possible. I don't really hear anyone else out there talking about ME/CFS and carnivore. There's a ton of carnivore content on the web. If you haven't heard about it, look into it. I would start with Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker, and kind of go from there. There's a lot of good advice out there. There's a lot of bad advice. So be smart with your sources, and that goes for anything. But I went and put this shirt on so I could kind of make a halfway decent first impression on this video, like I was a person that put clothes on, but I can see that you can see my pajama pants. So, you know what though? Such is life with ME. Yep. So, anyway, I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail on this first video. I just want to introduce myself and kind of state my purpose, which is to talk about ME/CFS and how the carnivore diet impacts it, how much it improves it, and how it improves it. I wish I had started this channel earlier in my journey. I haven't been well enough to do it. There's things you think about, and then there's the reality of your life. And the reality of my life for the past almost 7 years has been 95% homebound. And out of that 95% homebound, probably 75% chairbound. I have lost most of my muscle mass, and it's been incredibly trying. It's been incredibly lonely. It's just been completely devastating. It devastates your social life. It devastated my career. It's devastated my ability to go anywhere and participate in anything. I haven't taken a vacation since I've been sick. I haven't even been able to wrap my head around making a trip, like even the car ride. It's the simplest things. ME/CFS it's awful. There's a ton of suffering involved, and you mostly suffer alone because people do not understand it. It's not a cool, sexy, trendy illness. It's not one of those things that, when you tell people you have it, they don't rally around you. They don't start wearing the ribbon. And that's fine. But in addition to that, there's a stigma attached to it. Most people make fun of it. In fact, I'm a registered nurse. I have heard doctors and nurses make fun of it. I've seen them walk out of patients' rooms who have talked openly about having CFS, and they laugh. They've laughed and they say, yeah, chronic fatigue syndrome, well, we're all tired, get over it. Well, fatigue is not the same thing as being tired. I wish it was, because if that were the case, we'd all just pick ourselves up and get to it, right? But that's not how this thing works. Now, illnesses don't fit into tidy little boxes. So I told you I have ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, and inflammatory bowel disease. And so if you read about Lyme disease and you read about fibromyalgia and you read about ME/CFS, the symptoms all pretty much are the same. There's a great degree of overlap. But the reason I know ME/CFS has been the most devastating, the reason I know that it's what I struggle the most with, is because there's one defining characteristic symptom of ME/CFS that no other illness has. And that's called PEM, which stands for post-exertional malaise. And before I knew that term, before I knew that I had ME/CFS and what I was dealing with, I referred to that as the payback or as a crash. You do a thing and your body punishes you for it. And it seems like a much bigger payback than is necessary. It's kind of like now this is not probably the most articulate way to explain this, but I think it makes sense and everyone can kind of relate to it. PEM, to me, is just an energy deficit. You have spent more than you have. So, if you spend more money than you have a deficit. So let's say that your checking account, you have a deficit and you're going to keep bouncing checks until you replenish those funds. And you need to at least replenish what you overspent. Ideally, you put in more. So with PEM, if you have overdone it, if you have spent more energy than you have to spend, then you are down in a crash until your body builds its reserves back up. And I've had PEM that lasts a couple of days. I have had PEM that lasts for months. It depends on what I did. And there for a while, I didn't know what I was dealing with. I didn't know about PEM. I thought you mind over matter things, right? You keep pushing. You keep pushing and you'll get stronger. And that's pretty true with just about anything else, but not in CFS. Pushing and overdoing is completely counterproductive. Can and will make you worse. I have made myself worse. But that's because I'm headstrong and I'm stubborn, and there is a part of me that just refuses to accept that I'm stuck here. Okay, now I know what I'm dealing with, and that's helpful. Information is always helpful. But before I knew what I was dealing with, I just kept thinking, this is so absurd. This can't be real. You have to be crazy. Just go on as if things are normal, and then they will be. They'll be normal if you just act normal. Just keep going, keep pushing. Yeah. And I made myself so much worse. Okay, and I'll get into that in a different video. But I'm here to say that 61 days into the carnivore diet, I know my hair, what is it doing today? Just, ugh. Anyway, 61 days into the carnivore diet, guys, things are changing. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how much change is possible, but I'll put it this way. About 2 or 3 days into it, my brain fog was completely sounds like a really radical statement. I get that. It was pretty much gone. There have been times throughout this 61-day journey so far that it has been completely gone. There have been days where it's back a little bit, but it has not been to the degree that I have lived with for the past 7 years. And really, I've lived with brain fog much longer than that. I say this last 7 years because that's really when everything just went haywire. That's when I had to leave my job. That's when I became housebound. But I've been dealing with some of these issues for a long time. I just didn't understand what was going on. I didn't have any answers. But yeah, my brain fog was so bad. I felt like I was on drugs. I felt like I was just taking a Benadryl every 30 minutes or something. Just like you couldn't think. There were times when, I'd have to call my husband and say, I can't go out and do the grocery pickup this week. I can't drive. I'm so fogged and cloudy that I don't think I can drive. Times that I would just break down and cry because I couldn't figure out what it was that I was trying to do. Times when you can't read a book, you can't read something simple like a magazine, you can't follow a TV program, and I'm not talking about some like psychological drama, I'm talking about like Seinfeld. You can't follow a sitcom. Your brain is just completely toast, and you just don't understand why. Within a week or two, my pain has been pretty much non-existent. Not enough to cause me any real distress. And I have lived with pain on a daily basis for at least 7 years. Joint pain, muscle pain, muscles that just burn. They just burn. Like you, I think back to high school, like the first day of track practice, you're not used to that type of activity, and your muscles are on fire and you feel like you're going to throw up. In fact, I think I did throw up. but I lived every day like that, like muscles just absolutely on fire, and you can't figure out why. And nerve pain, just in the weirdest places, like it just would kind of change and migrate around, and that was daily, you know. I'm not having any of that. None. I'm pain-free. I'm pain-free for the first time in 7 years. Sleep is still really tricky. I haven't slept well in years, and these conditions exacerbate that. People like me get fragmented sleep. It's like we never really get into a restful, restorative sleep. I refer to it as like catnapping, basically, which is not helpful. You cannot heal if you don't sleep. If you don't get into a restorative stage of sleep, you can't heal. So you start getting into this cycle, right? It's like it's like a negative feedback loop that you just can't get out of, that's constantly causing you more problems. So anyway, sleep is, I think it's improving, but I still have to take something for sleep. So, you know, that's to be determined. I'm at the 90-day mark. I think I'm going to try to taper off of what I take for sleep, and we'll see how that goes. You know, I'm cautiously optimistic about that. On the energy front, I'd say I have 30-40% more energy. That might be a little too liberal. I'm not sure. I'm trying to be kind of conservative with my results, but I think that's probably fairly accurate. I have been able to get out and do things more than once in a week and back to back. So I went out and did my grocery pickup yesterday. I also stopped at the UPS store. I also, where else did I stop? I had to make another stop. I can't remember. But on top of that, I did laundry. I ran the dust mop in the house. I was able to make it out to the chicken coop and give them fresh water and get their eggs. And then last night I was able to take the trash down to the curb, which is not something I'm usually able to do at all. And my husband's out of town at the moment, so there's lots of extra things to do. And I've been able to do them. That was yesterday. Today, I'm worn out from it, but I'm not down. I'm not experiencing PEM. I'm not in a crash. I was able to get up and take care of my animals today, make myself some food, sort of meander around, piddle a little bit, tidy up the house. I think I wiped down my countertops, and I'm energetic enough to, you know, try my hand at making this video. And also, I have no idea what I'm doing. I am not tech savvy. I'm not a social media person. So we'll see how this goes. I guess I'll stop there. In a future video, I'll break these things down into smaller bites and just talk about those things. You know, I'll make a video on PEM. I'll make a video on the symptoms that I've lived with routinely and how those are improving, you know, kind of like a point-by-point analysis of that. And then I'll just talk about how I got here. My etiology, I believe, was, well, I'm not guessing, I know. It was from a really severe Epstein-Barr infection, and it was incredibly severe. It was the worst case my doctor said he had ever seen. So I'll talk about that in a different video. And there's just been different factors that have gotten me to this point in my life. And I can dive into that at a different time, but this is probably enough for today. I apologize if I have rambled or if I've not stayed on topic very well. I will practice on that. And I'll try to wear clothes. I might be in my pajamas, you know? I'm hoping though that I continue to improve and that's an extra step that I can take every day. It's like get up, put on real clothes, and maybe even put on makeup. I haven't been wearing makeup in years. And that's been a real hang up of mine about even starting this channel, was putting this very fresh face out into the world without any makeup, you know. It's clear that I used to be quite the lover of the sun. I've got sun hickeys all over my face. I got quite mauled by the sun in Florida one year and left all these spots on my face, but that's okay. I haven't been able to tolerate the sun in years. I have terrible heat intolerance. The moment get the least bit warm, my blood pressure drops and I'm sick, and my energy, what little energy I have had, is just out the window. So I'm already stuck in the house, but certainly during the summer, I'm super stuck in the house. You know, at least in the colder months, I can go outside and sit for a little while, but here in East Tennessee, like April, usually by April, mid-April, it's pretty good and hot, and yeah, that's it. That's it. So, okay, well, bear with me, guys, as I try to figure all this out. I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked this at all, if you relate to it at all, if you think any of this could be helpful to you or someone you know, I guess hit the like and subscribe button. I don't like asking that. It feels cheesy, but okay. Do it if you want to. If you don't, that's fine too. You know, whatever. Free country. Okay. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.